Google is great, and some of the highlights of Google are, it's great for current events, and it's great for things that are new and super fast. So I know, for example, I used, one time there was something happening in my hometown, and I used Twitter, and I searched like hashtag my town's name, and all of a sudden I had all of this, what was kind of happening in town at the time. So for some things, Google is really great for it. It's really, really good for current events, things like that. And it's easy to use. I mean, it's one search box. You open it up, there's a search box, you put what you're searching, and you get results. And you get lots of results, lots and lots and lots of results. And the amount of content is amazing. Just how much stuff you can, you can be slightly interested in something, you can Google it, and there's millions of hits about it. But unfortunately, some of the cons for Google is a lot of great content will not be available through Google. A lot of like older things like newspapers, scholarly publications, older stuff, a lot of stuff can be what we call behind a paywall. So, you'll be searching for something, it looks like a great article, you click on it and they want $35. Well, you should never pay for anything at UMass, like ever, ever, ever. So if you see that, definitely call me, email me, call me, speak to one of the librarians, and most likely we spend millions of dollars on our databases, so we will probably have access to that material, or we can get access through it, which I'll talk about. So yeah, and a lot of stuff's not digitized. You will hear a lot like, why do we need libraries? Everything's digitized. Well, there's a lot of stuff that's not digitized, and a lot of kind of historical things are not, and like things like that are not digitized. The other thing about Google is it's all about quantity and not quality. So you will get a million hits of information, but it might not necessarily be relevant to what you're searching or what you're looking for. I personally always kind of picture someone in their underwear in their parents' basement who may, have a bias on something, and they're writing, and that's, you don't want to cite that. And so it may be quicker searching through the library, as the information there is going to be mostly sound and vetted and peer-reviewed and things like that. So if you find something through the library page, it's probably been vetted already by librarians and the people who purchase these collections. So you can be pretty safe knowing that that information will be useful and helpful to your research. Also, with library researches, you find a lot of citations and references. So if you're looking at an article, you can go to the last, the end of the article and see everything they cited for their paper. So you can sometimes use that to add to what you're looking at for research. So sometimes using just like the appendices and the references can be a really good resource. Here's the library homepage. Not sure if any of you have ever been to this page yet before. And so this is kind of the main landing page of our, our homepage of our website. So you can kind of go through some of these links, and this kind of right here. Oh, here's the links up here, and you can actually, if say you're at the library website, but you want to click on these links, you actually will get email, Spire, Moodle, Blackboard, UDrive, things like that, just from the library's website. So you can kind of, I know some students say they will bookmark this page and then kind of use it to go out to other things at the UMass campus. So we have the Ask Us. So if you click on this, you're going to get a live chat box. Unfortunately, this is, I think, not available right now. Our chat service, I believe, is like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. If you just need to kind of drop in and have a question. There's also some helpful numbers and departments on the left, so if you need to find something. But yeah, that's usually, like I said, more business hours when that is available. So under services, we have a lot of things. For UWW, I would think, most of these are for like in-person, but you may find something under, I'm trying to think if there's some access to library buildings. But again, this seems to be talking sadly more about the physical space. So let's see. And then you have the research tab, but you have it right here, so that may be actually faster to go to. So locations, a lot of these are going to be physical locations, and seeing most of you seem to be, distance learners, this might not be as an important page for you because this is more for physical spaces. The databases and collections we'll talk about momentarily. People. So this is a good website if you know who you need to talk to. But the cool thing is there's this academic liaison program. Now, I don't know why they call it this because I wouldn't have necessarily known as a student what the heck that means. But these are our subject specialists. So we have for every major, minor, and certificate program on campus a librarian assigned to that subject. And some of them have advanced degrees in those subjects areas. Some just know and have been that subject area person. So they know a lot. So for example, accounting and information systems is J. Michael Davis. So if you're an accounting major, you might want to email him. He's very responsive via email. All of them are. So, if you have a question, don't hesitate to just email them. So let's see. So back to the services. So about us, most of this won't necessarily impact you or anything. News and events, if you do want to kind of see what we're doing for current news and events, you can. We do have a Falcon cam that will be put up in a couple months, probably, maybe not even that long, of the Falcons that are up on the roof of the building. So if you want to check that out, you will have that opportunity, and that will live here when that happens. So if we go back to the main page, so yeah, so it's a lot of resources. Let me go through my notes. So these four, so we'll talk about this in a second, the search bar, but we have the library hours, again, may not be pertinent to you. Course reserves are more for physical reserves, or if you have digital reserves for your class, but that's probably just connected directly through Blackboard or Moodle or whatever you're using. So you probably don't need to even come, if it's not physical, then you probably don't need to go through this way. We have research. So research is great because they have some great resources. So you can go to the subject research guide. So this is another great place to go if you're not even sure where to start. So someone said they were journalism. So let's look for journalism. And you will see there's 2 pages, I believe. So there's something about fake news. So if you want to check that out. And then there's also, so there's 2 guides, fake news and trend spotting, culture, consumer, and business trends. So you could click on that and get it more information. Let's see, what's another one? Let's see, economics. So you can see we have, our business collection, resource economics, things like that, and you can click on it, and so every librarian does it slightly different, but a lot of times they'll tell you like the best resources to use. So if you're like in the middle of the night and no one's around, this may be a great place to check out and to see where you can at least get started. And most of the librarians, oh, here I am, have pictures. So don't hesitate to use them as a resource. Under research, we also have the databases, which we'll talk about in a second, and then scheduling a research consultation. So I don't know if this is for physical, but say you weren't sure who to speak to, you could fill this out and maybe put in, describe the question, what steps, and maybe kind of say that this would need to happen over the phone, and they'd be happy to help you. So you could check that out. Is everyone still hearing me okay? It's so weird to like talk into a void and just wonder if like people are hearing me. Yes, thank you, Ian. Okay, so that's kind of the main talk. We have the hours. Oh yeah, so here we have citation management, which we'll talk about more later, and interlibrary loan. Oh, thank you, everyone. And then we have the addresses, and the social media buttons. Why I point out the addresses is as distance learners, for anyone out there that's a distance learner, you can use interlibrary loan, and you can use what's called Delivery Express and have anything that UMass, almost anything that UMass owns physically, sent to wherever you are. So I saw someone in San Diego. I know you're coming home soon. We're coming back here soon, but you could actually request a book from our collection and it will be sent to you in San Diego, and this is how you send it back. So here's the addresses for that. It's a great resource. So interlibrary loan is an amazing, amazing resource. So if you've never used it, you would just fill out your net ID and your password. I think it should be the same as Spire and everything else. So I'll log into mine. If you have never logged in, you will get like one page thing that you have to fill out once. You may want to let them know that you're a distance learner if there's an option for that, or when you make requests, let them know that you're a distance learner and they'll know to send it to the address you're living at, and just so there's no confusion. But you can get any articles this way. So for example, let's see what I've requested. So when you request items like articles or book chapters, you usually see, here's received. Let's see, they don't hold them forever. So if you do get something from ILL, you want to save it on your desktop or wherever you save things. But they would just happen here. And the turnaround time for ILL is very fast. So say, for example, you were doing research after this tonight, you got inspired, I was so amazing, that you looked something up, but we didn't have it. You could request it through ILL, and it will actually come to, I mean, you could possibly get it tomorrow morning. I mean, I've actually put in requests, went to lunch, come back, because they all just do it digitally and send the file. So it's, the turnaround for non-physical ILL items is very, very fast. It's a well-oiled machine. So I would definitely use interlibrary loan to your advantage. Never pay for anything that it says you need to pay for. Go through us and we can help you find what you need. So that's that. We have a discovery layer, and that's what this is called, this discovery search. It's kind of like Google, and why I say it's kind of like Google is, again, we don't have the money that Google has. So the great thing about our discovery is it's like Google. You have a search box, you put stuff in it, you get results. The only thing is, not all of our databases are very friendly with our discovery search feature. So, for example, Web of Science, if you've ever used that database, the results will not pop up in this because they do not want to. It's complicated political thing. I won't go into it, but basically, some play really well with that discovery search and some do not. So, depending on what you're looking at, the discovery search may be fine. You know, if it's just you need two sources on, you know, legalization of marijuana, for example, you know, this may be fine. But you may need to, for deeper research, you may need to go into specific databases, which I'll talk to you about. So again, this is a discovery search. So I'm going to do a search, and I am going to, let's see. So I'm going to look up this book, The Other Westmore. I'm going to spell it right. And these are the results that pop up. So quickly, you can kind of see that on the left, you get all these things where you can refine and limit your search. I know that when I was a student, it was always, I was quite the procrastinator. I still am, and so I sometimes want to click this full text. So right now we have 565 items. If you click full text, oh, you get the same amount, which seems a little interesting. Yeah, so I guess everything here is in full text. One thing to note as you're looking at this, so you know what the search results are, is the location of this book is the Du Bois Library. This is the call number. This would be there's an option to text to call it, so you could send the call number to your phone, but most of you will not need that. The status is regular, so it means it can be checked out and leave the building, and it's available. So if one of you, as a borrower, wanted to request this item, So you can see, oh, here you can see different things like in transit, so that one's not available, and things like that. So if you wanted to request it, you would go through ILL, and there's usually a notes field at the bottom, and you'd be like, I know that I'm a UMass student, but I don't live, and put your address, and they would send you that book to your area. Oh, here's a request item. So let me see if it would let me. Yeah, this may do the 5 college lending, but you're all distance learners, so you may want to just go to ILL directly on the front homepage and put in as much information as you can. And again, note that you're a distance learner and you would want it sent to your house. So let me see. It's hard to work this. Okay. So here's the result list. So again, like I said, there's limiters on the left. It's kind of like Amazon. I think most of us like to online shop. I know I do. So you can, what you want it to, the format. Also, I like this publication date. So say you're doing, someone was doing journalism. So say you were doing, civil rights movement, but you want to know what they felt at the time that things were happening. You might want to limit to those years so that you can kind of weed out any old things or more recent things that, just kind of waste your time to sift through, so you can, work smarter, not harder. So yeah, so they have, so there's a lot of options. A lot of these will probably be online. So for example, if you see this link. So link. Okay, so this can be kind of confusing and a little bit, librarians like to document everything. So if you're looking at this and you want to see this using service learning to teach, you can see that the full text is available from these 2 places. So if you just click on, let's see, I always usually pick the first one, or I know ProQuest. So I would click on ProQuest as an example, and it should bring you to the article. Yep, so here's the article. So you can save it, you can email it, you can print it, you can cite it. What I like, download the PDF directly. I do like the cite option. For some reason, I was not a fan of citing. I don't know why. And so you can either change the different kind of formatting you need, copy and paste, but I'd still make sure that, it's right, because it is a computer doing it and mistakes can happen. So I would always, your works cited page, you should check through just to make sure everything went through. But most of them do have a citing option. So yeah, so here you have the article. Again, at the bottom, you should have all these references. So maybe you could be like, oh, that actually, the long-term affecting of bullying, promoting empathy with nonfiction is actually even better than this article. And then you can look for that. So the references, especially if you're having a hard time finding stuff, sometimes the references of articles can really bring you to more, other fruitful information. So that's just an example of one of those. So if we go back, trying to think if there's other things. Here, this will just take you directly up. You still have to click. It's so weird. Oh, no, maybe not. Disregard what I said. And so, yeah. So you have, here's now a different article. Cite this item, download PDF. So we do have a lot of online materials that you can get. So that's kind of the discovery layer. I just want to kind of show you some other kind of advanced searching, because I know sometimes you can either look up something and you find nothing, or you can look up something and find way too much. So someone had mentioned nonprofit management. So let's see if we put in nonprofit and then management. Now, the thing I'll note about this, and also about when we're in databases searching, unfortunately, it's not very good. It's not a spell checker. I love Google because you can put something in that's like, did you mean this? And it's like, yes. Whereas you can put something in here, spell it wrong, and wonder why nothing's coming up. So we did this nonprofit management, and we get 61,000 things. Now, this may be new to you, this may be something you guys know about, but if you put things in quotes, they actually search for the term together. So right now, this is searching for non and profit in the same article, but it doesn't have to be next to each other. So if you put quotes and hit search, you get a lot less. You actually get your results cut in half. So you have that. You have the option to do and or not. So maybe nonprofit management, but you don't want like sports management or something. You could then change these. You can also have it more by making a subject term. So for example, we've made these both subject terms. So if you're just doing select a field, like it's just anywhere, it will kind of default to anywhere in the article, description of the article, anywhere, nonprofit together. But if you do it as a subject, nonprofit and management actually has to appear in the subject area. So again, now we only have 2,000 items, which is a lot less to go through than the 60-something thousand we started off with. So that way you can kind of help narrow down your focus. So yeah, so you can do that. Another thing that sometimes people don't know about, I actually went to library school and found out about this, is the wild card. So say, for example, you want, management could possibly end in a couple different ways. So what if, you might want managers, might management, all different things. You could actually go back to where the word manage, like the prefix, and add the asterisk. And then it will automatically, anything that starts with manage, no matter how it ends, will search it. So click on that, we get slightly more, or about the same, I think. But say we click on one, and then you look at, let's see, where's the subject? Okay, let me go back to, I think this is just an interesting record. Okay, so let's go to this. If you look under subject terms, you'll see nonprofit organizations and public enterprises. And then you're like, oh, that's what I want. Like, that's actually better. So the subject terms in a lot of the databases, or in this discovery, which is basically a database, you can actually sometimes find better things that then help you build upon your search. It's an iterative process. It doesn't go in a straight line. There'll be times where you're frustrated. Always check your spelling. And then, these tips and tricks can kind of help reduce. So now you have only 11 items to go through, and this might be more what you're looking for. So it's, use these because they have all the, if you know the author, for example, or just the last name of the author, the and or not. So, say you want to know about cats and dogs, but not kittens, you can put it all different in, put it in differently and get different results. So it's once you kind of know how to play around with it, you can do a lot of stuff. The other neat thing, so say let's see. So that's, so that's kind of like the advanced searching, is the and or not, the quotes to kind of search for the phrase in something, limiting to where those phrases are found. So selecting these, and yeah, so it's, it can be very helpful. I'm going to go back to the library's homepage. So databases and collections, to me, are where you're going to get a lot of your research. They're, to me, the fastest and easiest way to get what you need. So if you go to databases and collections, so this is actually a link itself. And then you can see we have trials sometimes. The database is A to Z listed if you want. We have some campus collections, and then remote access bookmark list. Oh, that's for things that you might have trouble accessing online. So on the left, you'll notice we do categorize them by subject. So we have some public health people. So you could go right here, and depending, if you're doing public health, these are picked out by the subject librarian, Ellen Lutz in this case, to say these are the best bets to go. Like, don't go look in another database like JSTOR. These are your best bets, excuse me, for finding what you're looking for. So it can be much quicker to narrow it down. The other thing is format. So say you need to find, the journalism major might use a lot with newspapers. You could click on newspapers and see all of our databases. So we have some, I know I find going through like the historical New York Times is very interesting if you want to see like, you know, what was on the front page of when the Titanic sank. You can go to that. Also what's interesting, and this is just a side note, to me is interesting, is that, for example, if you look at like the Titanic that happened in 1912, if you look to see how long news took to come out, you know, it took a long time. It wasn't necessarily, you know, the front page with all the information the next day, because, you know, information was a lot slower back then. So it can be kind of interesting to see how like things in history kind of unfolded. So we do have historical newspapers, which is really nice. And so yeah, there's a lot of things. We also have videos. We actually have some, I think sometimes like, you know, some more popular things, but there's a lot of interesting, you know, everyone probably has a Netflix account, but say you don't. I know that Canopy, I found some interesting, oh, I thought it was, we have some cool PBS video collections and things like that, so there can be, you know, that's so interesting. Oh, Canopy, don't know what I was doing. And so this has a lot of cool films. So this might be stuff that's actually not on Netflix. So you can check that out. And again, it's all, you know, you might need to use your NetID and password, but you should be able to access this no problem from anywhere you are. So it's a great resource. So for the sake of this session, I'm going to do academic search premiere. So that's a very good interdisciplinary, it actually pops up. It's a very good interdisciplinary database to go to. So if you're kind of starting and you're not sure where to go, this can be a good one to kind of get your feet wet with databases. We do a lot with EBSCO, so you'll see this in a lot of different databases. So sometimes once you learn it in this one, it will help when you're using others to do other ones. So, so let's see if we do more with public health. So I'm going to put public health in parentheses so we don't get random public and random health. And I'm going to do, just because it's in the news, marijuana and public health. Oh, driving under the influence. So yeah, so there's going to be a lot of, you know, new things now based on that. Another thing that I think is very helpful personally is, let me see where it is, subject terms. So see this up here, subject terms. Sometimes it's called thesaurus. It's called different things. But if you put it in, every database kind of has its own way of speaking, and it could be from the field of study it's in. So maybe public health uses certain terms for things that we don't necessarily use. But how do you know that if you don't use the database? So for example, you could look up something like when I think of kids, I think of kids. But a lot of times they might use like juveniles or children. So say you click on children, you know, you can see all the different breakdowns. So sometimes, you know, looking up, so let's add this to a string. So you can select item and then add. So we're going to add, so that's saying that we're looking for the subject children, and then I'm going to also put in public health. I don't know what's going to happen. So that gets us, that got us nothing. So let me put it in a separate line maybe. And again, you know, I'm trying to show you it's an iterative process, so keep trying it. So now we get like 9,000 results, and I am just curious if marijuana shows anything with children. Oh, 19. So yeah, so you can see, you know, all different things. So, you know, like I said, these can be very helpful in the discovery search with their website, but also with the database searching. So yeah, I would always check the subject terms, because especially if you're dealing with, like, say you're taking a gen ed in science, that may be very helpful to you, to kind of use their terminology, because you may be like, okay, there has to be something on this. Why is nothing popping up? The other thing to do, just to let you know, is you can always email me or email your subject librarian and kind of let them know where you started and been like, I can't, like, I'm trying to search. Don't be frustrated. That's what we're here for. You know, there's enough to get stressed out about in life. So, you know, research, and please come to us. That's what we're here for. We have about 40 plus subject librarians, so there's someone here very happy and willing to help you. So like I said, it's helpful sometimes when you're emailing us to let us know where you searched and what you looked at, or what you search, your search string is, like what you put in the boxes, because that may help us not tell you to go to a site that you've already checked out and that didn't necessarily work out. So that is that. The other thing that I wanted, now, let's see. Does anyone here use citation managers? Anyone in this group familiar or know what they are? Oh, that's a much better picture than seeing my face the whole time. So citation manager, so when you do a works cited page, or you do, sometimes it's called a bibliography, you know, you can use kind of those kind of, I wouldn't say it's a cheat, but you can kind of pull those citations off from the databases or the discovery search. But what you can also do is there's this citation manager. So we at the library pay for RefWorks. And RefWorks is a citation management system. And what I like about it is it's one of the few things that you get as an alumni. So if you're planning to go to graduate school, you may want to start using this resource, because then you can use it when you continue on or when you go on. So this is the old RefWorks, so you would want to log in to the new RefWorks, and I will show you what it looks like. So I probably have some stuff in here. Oh, look at, I have some Quabbin stuff. Okay, so so this is my folder. So I've done a lot. So I just use this for classes, so I'm not sure like what any of this stuff is. But the nice thing about RefWorks is you can use it to search databases. You can import things in. What I like is you can share it. So say you're working in a class together, you can create a folder and share it so that you're all working off the same citations. And there's actually folders at UMass that you can look at that people share. So Women in STEM Books, you can join that group and see what they're doing. And then there's your folders. And I am a true librarian, so I love putting things in many, many, many folders. So you can create a folder and then add things to it. So for example, I can say I want these two to be moved to the Mango folder, and I think I can, oh, more. I might just be able to click and drag. Let me see, can I? Yep, so now that's in the Mangoes folder. So if you like to organize things, it can be very helpful. And then say, for example, you have to do a bibliography. So I'm gonna go to this section, and you see these little quote here. And so you do create bibliography. And so here's a bibliography, and you can change to what style it is up at this top. So say you need, I know APA is very popular. I think kind of the more popular at the top, and that will change it. And then you can copy to your clipboard and put in your paper. But I'm going to reiterate again, always check to make sure it's doing it properly in the format that your instructor wants. But yeah, so you can do selected references. So it's really good for that. And like I said, if you're planning on going to graduate school in the same or similar field, or like the journalism major, you can be like, oh, I did this paper sophomore year that had a great, what paper did I use? And then you can go back and see what you did with that. And you can share and export. So there's a lot of functionality you can do, but you can create these folders, and then So like, for example, if we go back to academic, let's go to academic search premier. So, wow, that's not, wow. Okay, so we'll go back to academic search premier. So we have it right here. And so I'm going to look up more stuff about the Quabbin Reservoir. And thankfully it's telling me how to spell reservoir, because I did not know off the top of my head. Okay, so I'm like, oh, this is good. So if you look here, you see this little file and a plus. So you can be like, okay, I like that one. I like that one. Oh, Q is for Quabbin. So we'll click on that, and these are great. So then I'm going to go to the folder view, and then I'm going to say export. So I want them to export all of these that I just found that are amazing. And we're going to direct export to RefWorks. And my account's already open. So to do this, you will want to have your RefWorks account open. And so here I'm going to put remove these items after they're in the folder. So you click save. You say you want it in this new RefWorks. Import complete. And now you have 3 new sites. So you can put them in your folders. You can just make a bibliography of this if you need it, you know, ASAP. So you can do a lot of things with RefWorks. And like I said, as an alum, you will get to continue with this as an alum, so you can have it even after you've graduated. So most of, you know, so that was in Academic Search Premier that I exported it. But you can also do it, I believe, in our, right here. Let's see. I think you can do it just from our Discovery search, too. They all kind of work well with RefWorks. So let me try it. And, oh, yeah, same thing. Plus, and then you just go to folder. Export. Remove. Direct import. Boom. And there you are. And so then I could say I want to, you know, share a folder, and I can give it a name, and then I could invite people. Let me see. And I don't know if it will populate for UMass. I don't think it will. So you'd have to just put actual emails and then say if they can read, annotate, or modify. But it's, like I said, again, it's great if you're working on a group project together so you know what all the resources are for that.